All right, let's jump right in. We often think of sacred texts as just, well, books, words on a page. But what if the text was designed to be something more? A full-on sensory experience, a series of powerful voices, all aimed at lending one single crucial message. In this explainer, we're diving into a commentary that argues exactly that.
So we're looking at excerpts from Sayyid Qutb's In the Shade of the Quran. Now this isn't just a simple translation. It's a deep dive into the Quran's literary power, its emotional punch. It's asking a really fundamental question. How does this text actually speak to people?
And this quote right here, it just nails the core idea. The commentary doesn't see the Quran as a passive book you just read. No, it frames it as an active, dynamic campaign, one that uses sound, imagery, and powerful emotion to get its message across, engaging all our senses to really influence, as it says, our hearts and our minds.
So, if it's a campaign, where does it even begin? Well, interestingly enough, not with a spoken word, but with a silent one. The very first voice we encounter is the universe itself.
The idea here is that the world itself is a message. Long before any prophet ever spoke a single word, creation had already set the stage, It was already speaking this universal language of science, talking directly to our senses, to our gut feelings.
And we're talking about the big stuff, right? The heavens, the earth, the sun and moon. These aren't just background scenery. The commentary argues that they are deliberate messages, this huge, epic panorama that speaks of a creator. It's like a silent, constant broadcast that, in the author's own words, only a closed mind and a dead heart could possibly ignore.
Okay, so you have this silent, epic message coming from nature. How does the campaign build on that? Well, the next layer is the clear, articulate human voice of the prophets.
And this is a really crucial point. In this commentary, the prophets aren't just reciting a script like robots. They are advocates. They're making a case. They argue. They plead. They use powerful rhetoric to try and persuade people. The very act of speaking, of a man making an appeal, is central to their whole mission.
Just take the prophet Abraham's appeal to his own father. Listen to the tone there. It's gentle, it's rational. He's not barking orders, he's asking questions. The commentary really zeroes in on this compassionate approach, framing it as a son's heartfelt attempt to guide his father.
And this is where the drama really kicks in. The commentary puts Abraham's gentle plea right up against his father's harsh, angry reply. And this contrast, it isn't just a historical footnote. It's a powerful scene designed to show you the incredibly high stakes of the spiritual and verbal battle.
The power of the spoken word is so important that the prophet Moses, who has to go and confront Pharaoh, is shown actually praying for eloquence. He gets it. He knows that for his mission to have any chance of success, his voice has got to be clear and his words have to hit home. The commentary really highlights this. Effective communication is presented as a divine tool.
So we've gone from the silent voice of the universe to the impassioned voices of the prophets. Now the commentary builds us up to the ultimate form of communication, the direct divine address.
The narrative brings us to this moment of pure, undiluted awe. What does it actually feel like when the source of everything in existence communicates directly with one single human being?
So let's set the scene, because the commentary paints such a vivid picture. Moses is totally alone in this vast, empty desert. It is completely engulfed in the darkness and the profound silence of night. The only thing he can see is this distant flicker of a fire next to a mountain. The isolation is just absolute. And then it happens. The climax. A voice calls out, a voice that seems to echo across the entire universe. The commentary describes this as more than just a sound. It's a great address that just shatters the silence with a kind of awe-inspiring majesty that no human being could ever fully wrap their head around. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful voice of all.
So, after establishing that absolute incredible majesty of the divine voice, the commentary then presents a shocking contrast. It analyzes a human claim that it considers so fundamentally wrong, it calls it a monstrous falsehood. And that idea is that God could have a son. And according to the commentary, this one claim is so out of tune with reality that the entire universe, the same creation that silently points to God's oneness, it reacts with this visceral horror. It's portrayed as literally shuddering, just recoiling from the idea. And this, quote, wow,
It just illustrates that reaction so powerfully. The text says, the very fabric of existence is shaken to its core by this one idea. The cosmos itself, which started this whole thing as a silent message of God's oneness, just violently rejects any voice that dares to contradict it.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. We've heard three really distinct kinds of voices: the silent voice of creation, the persuasive voices of the prophets, and that awe-inspiring voice of the divine. So, what's the point of it all?
This is where the commentary ties all those different threads together. Every sign you see in nature, every appeal from a messenger, and even that direct address from God, they're all part of that massive campaign we talked about at the very beginning. They're all tuned to broadcast one single foundational truth.
And there it is. That's the message. The one delivered to Moses in that incredible scene. The core principle that the universe silently screams and that every prophet champions. According to this commentary, every single voice leads right back to this fundamental declaration. There is one God, and only one God.
So this whole interpretation presents the world as a place just buzzing with communication, from the mountains to the messengers. And it kind of leaves us with a pretty compelling question, doesn't it? In a world filled with so much noise and so much static, if that message is always being broadcast, how do we actually tune in and listen?